Welcome to Root to Fruit, conversations with everyday people who shape the Vine School community.
Okay.
Good afternoon, Chloe, Miss Whitton. Thank you for joining us on
Yes, of
this
course.
episode of our podcast. So there are three main areas of questioning that I want to talk to you about. My understanding is that you went from, let's call it School A,
Yes.
to Ambleside Hout Bay, and you finished there.
Yeah, so I matriculated there, and then I started at Ambleside in mid-grade 10.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And then the next phase was, what was the transition like from going from being a student at an Ambleside school to being a teacher, and then how has your first term been at the Vine School? So let's start at the beginning.
Yeah.
School A. Can you talk us through a little bit about what was the reason, or why did you move from School A to Ambleside Hout?
Yeah, so I attended School A for it would have been 2.5 years, and it was just not working for me academically, socially, and spiritually. And so I felt in my heart, I actually went to a Christian camp leading up to when I was going to make the change. And God just put in my heart that I need to move.
Okay.
And so I'd felt quite not like myself for a long time. And I just kept getting this word that I was just feeling small at the school that I was based at. And I knew that God had more for me than to just fit in with everybody else and go through high school and say you did 4 years at the same school and it was all great and lovely. And, for some people that is the case and that's their story, but it wasn't my story. And so my mom actually used to have a kids store a few years back, and my English teacher at Ambleside used to work for her at the toy store. And so we'd done our research about different schooling and, looking towards a more Christian-based teaching and learning. And so it's really hard to find that nowadays. And so I remembered, I said, Mom, doesn't Roxy, my teacher at Ambleside for English, doesn't she work there now? And she was like, yes, I remember that she did actually move from my shop and then she went into teaching. And so we went and looked at the school, and of course it was completely different to what I was used to.
What were you used to?
Yeah, so I was used to about 30 students in a class.
Yeah.
And it was basically you would go from subject to subject in a very formal and sophisticated and ruled out way. There was no space to actually just be. And so when I went to Ambleside again, God pulled on my heart and it was like, this is your home now.
Sure.
And so, I think I must have been 16 at the time, not doing well mentally, and having God speak into my life at the same time was just so incredible and so intentional, because fast forward a couple of years and now I'm here at the Vine School. And so, it was a major change. In the beginning, it was not easy because I was very shy and insecure, and I didn't know how to really interact in this way, and it was a lot more, I would say, carefree in the sense that it didn't feel like it was rigid in any way. And as I got to learning more about Charlotte Mason, my mind was just so open to how we as humans are meant to, how I believe, meant to learn. And so it was this transition of becoming the person that I actually am today. And I always say to people, if I hadn't made the move, I wouldn't be who I am today.
Sure.
And so again, just, all credit to God, because I could have just remained in a place where, I could have just said it's hard and I need to push through. I do believe in times in life that is the case, but in this time it was not, and I knew that moving to Ambleside was the option that was actually going to essentially save my life. So, and it did in so many ways. So, yeah.
Sure. Wow.
Yeah.
So at what point did you decide teaching was the way? Like, was that before you even got to Ambleside, or was it through that journey that you realized, I want to do this also in an Ambleside environment if I can?
Yeah, so obviously, like, as you grow up, you kind of think what I want to be when I'm older. And then obviously as you reach 18, all your parents, friends and family and everyone are asking, what are you doing with your life? And I'm like, I've always wanted to teach. I mean, when I was young, I wanted to be a vet, and then I realized you have to put dogs down and animals down, and I was like, I don't think I'm capable of doing that. I don't think my heart will be able to manage that. And so I just realized, like, I loved being around kids. Like, even when I was young, I loved, like, looking after my family, friends, kids, and all of that. And I just thought, okay, this is a passion of mine, and I almost feel my most self when I'm around kids, and there's the safety and freedom that comes with learning from them as well. And so I've previously been in childcare for about like 9 years, and so that included like au pairing, tutoring, scribing, assistant teaching, and all of that. And so I knew that when I was studying, I did a Bachelor of Arts at UCT in English Literature and Linguistics, which I thoroughly enjoyed. And then I did my 2 years post my Bachelor of Arts in the Education, so the PGCE. And that was at Cornerstone Institute, which was actually also a Christian institute. And it was phenomenal because it allowed me to really like dig deeper into why I want to teach. And, you know, it's interesting when people ask you why. And I think my heart was just postured in such a way that I want to be there for kids and to help them grow. Not to just say, okay, we've accomplished this and, you know, look at this student compared to that student. No, I just find such beauty in seeing how they can go about life in so many different beautiful ways. And so interesting enough, I actually traveled abroad to also work with children. And I think this really sparked the why for me, because I kept saying, like, I'm good with kids. I can look after them. I can, help them with their homework, etc. And so I went and worked overseas for about 3 months, was supposed to be there for a year, and didn't work out. And again, God kept saying, you're small here. I don't want you here. I want you to go back home. And so I thought, oh gosh, how's this going to turn out? Now I'm told everybody I'm going overseas and looking after kids there. And so again, like, just following God's calling for me. And often that can be really hard in life because our egos get in the way and we want to do what we want to do. And so it was a while until I felt, can I just hear a yes from a school? Can I just hear a yes? And then I will know this is the right profession for me. And God just kept saying, no, like, you are already educating children before you step into the classroom.
Sure.
And so, that really inspired me a lot.
Okay, cool. So talk us through the journey of finding the vine and applying at the vine and arriving at the vine.
Yeah, so it's only been 3 months, which is crazy. It feels much longer. Okay. But, long story short, so obviously I came back from the UK and it was a long period of waiting and applying. So obviously I'd already been certified in my PGCE. So I had that, but I was still very much being the assistant teacher or the substitute teacher. And so a lot of schools look for added experience. And so got many rejections. And for the aspiring teachers out there, I feel your pain. It's a lot. So and so it came end of the year last year, and the Vine had a spot open for grade 2 teacher. And I thought, okay, I've tried literally every school, Atlantic Seaboard, Rondebosch, everywhere, both sides. And I thought, okay, let me just go and try and see. And that week, I actually had 3 interviews from 3 different schools. And the interview process was nothing like I'd actually experienced. It was so personal and just so full of depth, which I really enjoyed. There was nothing surface level about what I was going to be potentially doing as a grade 2 teacher. And so I finished my interview and I just said, Lord, if it's your way, you'll make it happen. Like, I've been trusting you for this. And so, fast forward 3 days and I got the email and the Vine said,
that fast? Sure.
Yeah, because my interview was on the Wednesday and they said, no, we'll let you know on the Friday.
Okay.
And so, and then I got the job and I was just so incredibly grateful. And so, it was a long process of no's, but again, God opening that door of the right yes. And often we have to be patient and position our hearts and minds towards what He actually has in store for us. Yeah.
Okay, and how is it going? So it's a combined thing of it's your first teaching post?
Yeah, it's my first proper teaching
and
post.
So it's not a case of like comparing it to you.
Yes.
But how are you finding your first teaching post here with us at the Vine School?
Yes, so I would say that the Vine School, just such an incredible community. The teachers really look out for one another, and I think highlighting more of the smallness of the school, it really does make a difference because you get to know each other so personally. And it's been a lot of learning on my side. It's been a lot of mistakes. And just knowing that I'm not meant to be the perfect teacher. And that Christ is actually the only perfect teacher. And so to know when I'm maybe not having such a good day and messing up or etc., all the things that go on during the day, I often tell the kiddies, I say, when we're having a bit of a day and we don't know what to do, we ask, what would Jesus do? So that kind of really just puts things into perspective. And so I'm just, again, so grateful for the opportunity and every day, some days are harder than others, as we all know. Stepping into this classroom just feels like it's got the word joy written all over it. And so I encourage the kids. I say, you don't have to be happy all the time, but we choose joy every day. And so, I'm just so looking forward to seeing how each of them develop. And it's been amazing to have a new student in our class, even so early on in the term. It's been amazing to see just how they can relate to one another, how they are such curious minds. I think, unfortunately, in quite a lot of other schools, there's not that ability or even space that is given to the children to actually ask questions beyond the syllabus. So that's what I've found with Charlotte Mason and Ambleside schools. There's this challenge for the mind to think beyond just what is in front of you. And so I've really enjoyed all these beautiful texts that we have available for us. And I mean, there's just so many words that we learn and new ideas that we really dive into. And so again, like I say, I'm learning as well, which I think is just such a beautiful thing. And so I'm really enjoying my time here to be completely honest. Yeah.
So no, because something that I think about as a parent, I know we quite recently did the parent-teacher meeting review feedback.
Yes.
And how was that? Like, were there any questions that you found that were consistent across parents? Are there certain questions that parents ask a lot? And, you know, how do you answer those questions?
Yeah, so I think, to be vulnerable, I was very nervous, because it was my first time, and often, you know, I look inwards and I think, oh my word, they think I'm so young. Like, maybe they don't know like what's going on, or they don't think I know what's going on. And so all these worries start like flooding my mind. And then I'm reminded, no, you planted here for a purpose. And so come our meetings, it was a great time of fellowship, actually, and like to get to know the parents as well. And so at Ambleside, and I'm sure you can agree, we don't say, okay, your child is good at this, but he's bad at that. And looking at actually deeper, how can they grow both academically, socially, and spiritually? And so that for me was really interesting, because I'm not used to saying, okay, let's look more into those spheres of growth. It was more, okay, she's struggling with maths, she can do extra maths on Tuesdays with me. So yeah, it was interesting to hear the questions that they had in terms of, what are we actually reading at the moment? You know, they really are involved with the literature, as well as the maths, for instance, because we do the Singaporean maths. And so I said to them, yeah, it's a higher level maths. So I was like, I wasn't doing this in grade 2, but anyway, here we are. So that was great to just really, you know, talk about also what behaviors are occurring at the home as well as in the classroom, you know, vice versa. I would ask, is so-and-so reacting in this way? Or they would ask, is my child being a little bit disruptive at school? Because I've noticed he's a bit distracted at home. So it was really like lovely to see how we could just openly talk about it, you know, and it didn't feel like there was this wall in front of us that it had to be extra professional, or, you know, that we were pretending that everything was fine with their child, because at the end of the day, that's not realistic, you know, as individuals as well. There's always a space to grow, and there's always reflection. And so it was definitely a big time of reflection for both the parents and myself. Yeah.
So now I'm also in my first year of being a business manager. So and I feel like
us newbies.
So at the moment it's like counting months. You know, because it's like every new month is a new thing. So you've gone through that first 12-month cycle, and then thereafter it's, you know, sort of repeat. Like, this is what a 12-month cycle is like. And we evolve over time. But, you know, given that's your first year, what would you say? What do you feel the rest of the year is looking like for you? You know, if we were speaking in sports terms, what's the rest of the season looking like? And how are you feeling about, you know, other teams that you're going to play against, or what are the big milestone things for you over the course of the rest of the year, and how are you feeling about it?
No, it's an interesting question, because like an image that I just got is just walking alongside with Christ, and taking each day as it comes and asking him, what do you want me to do today? And I think, you know, especially coming into this job, I've had to slow down a lot. I'm an individual who is busy most of the time, and as soon as I'm not busy, I kind of look around and I'm like, am I doing something wrong there, you know? So it's been humbling in the sense that God's put his hand on my shoulder and said, child, like, just slow down, like, I've got this. And so, to be honest, I don't know what the rest of the season looks like, but he does. And just to kind of explore more of the Ambleside philosophy and how that can be really cultivated within the classroom as well as outside the classroom. You know, I really want to build strong relationships with each of my kids in the class. I think that would definitely be one thing that I'm looking forward towards. Is, you know, even leaving for the first term, I kind of thought, yeah, I'm so excited. It's great. I can't wait to rest. We're going to miss them, man. Like, I always talk about my kiddies, and people are like, oh my gosh, how many kids do you have? And I'm like, no, I just teach them. They're not mine, but I just teach them. And so, yeah, and then they say, no, we'll miss you. And so it's been lovely to see how each of those relationships with the kids have started at a seed and is now starting to grow, and like to continue myself just learning and asking questions and asking for help when I'm actually feeling stressed and overwhelmed. And I think that's what the Vine School does so well, is that there's no shame in asking for help and saying, listen, I did this wrong. Can you actually come in and show me how it's done? Which has just been incredible. And I was reminded by one of the staff members. She just looked at me, she gave me a hug, and she was like, thank you so much for having a teachable heart. And I thought, oh my goodness, I've actually never thought that I myself have a teachable heart, you know? And so to continue having that heart throughout the year, and hopefully I stay here for a couple of years, but if the Lord, if he plants me somewhere else, he plants me somewhere else. But right now I'm feeling very rooted in his plan for me. Yeah.
Sure. That's fantastic. I think that's probably the best place to land.
Yes.
Again, thank you so much. I think we did ask you a little bit last minute.
Yes, of course.
Our deadline was, we try to get it out before the end of the month.
That's all right.
Yeah, I think we're also with the term coming to an end and teachers being busy. So thank you so much.
Yeah, of course.
For sharing, for giving us your time and sharing your
yes.
point of view with us.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
It's a pleasure.